There's a third pathway, which is the learned association of a particular taste with the particular quality or value that a food has. And this is where things get really interesting and where there's actually a leverage point for you to rewire what it is that you find tasty and that you want to seek more of. The work I'd like to talk about next has been carried out in mouse models and has been carried out in parallel experiments in humans. This is largely, not exclusively, but largely the work of Ivan de Araujo and Dana Small. Ivan de Araujo is at Mount Sinai School of Medicine, and Dana Small is at Yale. And they and others in their field have done incredible experiments exploring how taste and food value, the nutritional value of food, and the impact of that food on metabolism in the brain drives our food choices and allows us to change our food choices for the better. Their groups have done some really amazing studies involving ingestion of a particular substance that either contains sugar and thereby can elevate glucose, blood sugar, or not. And varying, meaning changing the taste associated with that ingestion of sugar. So let me just give you a simple example where they have subjects, these could be mice or these could be humans, because they've done both sets of studies, drink sweet water as an alternative or a choice to non-sweetened water or bitter water or some other flavor. And what they find is that mice and humans will prefer to consume the sweet beverage. Now, it's not always sweet water. Mice like sweet water, but humans will prefer, for instance, a milkshake, a fatty sweet drink. They'll consume more of that, and not surprisingly, dopamine levels in the brain increase in response to that. So the taste and the nutrient content of what it is that they're ingesting are aligned. They are matched. They've also done experiments where they have no taste, but subjects are being infused with sugar directly into the gut. And not surprisingly, based on everything I've told you up until now, subjects will pursue more of that thing relative to some other taste, either neutral or negative taste, because that sugar in the gut is triggering the activation of the neurons I mentioned earlier, which is signaling to the brain to pursue more of that thing. So this tells us something important. It tells us that we are driven, meaning we have mechanisms in our brain that make us motivated to pursue more of what brings both a taste of sweetness, but also that brings actual changes in blood glucose levels up. Okay, so we are motivated to eat sweet things not just because they taste good, but because they change our blood sugar level. They increase our blood sugar level. Now, this is important because it needn't be the case. It could have been that we were just wired to pursue things that taste good. But what this tells us is that we are actually wired to pursue things that increase our blood glucose. So much so that when the small lab, it's not a small lab, it's actually a big lab, but when Dana Small's lab and or Ivan de Araujo's lab have done experiments where they use a compound called 2-deoxyglucose. This is a compound that can prevent glucose from being metabolized by neurons. So blood glucose is going up, but neurons can't use it. What they find is that the reinforcing or the rewarding properties of a food or taste are eliminated. Put simply, it is not sufficient for a food to taste good consciously. It is not sufficient for a food to increase blood sugar. You need blood sugar to go up, and that blood sugar, glucose, has to be utilized by the neurons, even if it's not associated with a good taste. And to make it even simpler, if this isn't sinking in, this should make it very clear. What your brain, meaning what you are seeking when you eat, is not taste, is not dopamine, is not even a rise in blood glucose. What you're seeking, even though you don't realize it because it's subconscious, is you are seeking things that allow your neurons to be metabolically active. And this is fundamentally important for understanding why you eat particular foods, and how you can change your relationship to those foods.